Well, I'm Martijn, I'm from KNARS, and we've been invited by Revelland to make a multisensory show, basically based on a concept that we want to make music more accessible for people that can't hear so well. So that means translating the music to multisensory elements. The first venture point was to start thinking about the music as a theatrical concept, like what kind of storyline are you bringing? What is it actually about? And with us, that meant that it was about conquering your demons, which was the start point for our storyline. And we started to develop that more in depth. So what kind of ideas can you bring, but also what kind of story are you telling with all your songs? So there are also a lot of very practical ideas that you can implement. For example, the senses of smell and taste. You can use smell to get people in a certain vibe. Because we are really all about raw music, we experimented with, for example, putting a bucket of ammonia on the stage before you enter, or gasoline. Like those are smells that instantly get you into a certain vibe. But we didn't decide to do it because the hardest thing with smell is if you want to create a raw experience, it can also get very nasty really quick. One of the important things with smell is that you can't take smell away. You can only add new smells, but you also get used to a smell. And one of the things with smell also is that you need a good carrier, which often is just the air. But for example, with smoke, you also have to think about fire alarms and safety. Also because smoke is a smell that we naturally, through the ages, through evolution, have related to danger. So that can be a great element to play with, but it can also really create a dangerous environment because people can panic and think that there's really a fire going on. Then we have the sense taste. And with taste, there is actually a lot of depth that you can add because some tastes are energizing while some are relaxing. Think about eating a chili pepper. It doesn't make you calm. Or think about eating a nice, soft vanilla ice cream. That makes you instantly relaxed. Also because it adds sugar and fat to your body chemistry, which makes you more relaxed. So you can really play with the chemistry of the body as an audience member to add a story to each song.
Sweet, salty, creamy, saucy, needy, hungry, I'm a snack.
So we've had a few different concepts that came through the process in developing the show that we're working on right now. Our first concept that we came up with was a rage room, which is a room where you can go in while we either play music live or by video and guided by certain like therapeutic elements where you get a baseball bat and you can start crushing things, which was an ideal way of translating our mission to conquer your own demons, help you to overcome your obstacles and frustrations, which is also a lot of fun, because that's what it's about. It's just one example of how more helicopter view you can think about what your music is about. Is it about trying to bring calm and warmth to people? Maybe you could create a meditational setting. A second idea that we had, because we had COVID, which you probably had there as well, which meant that we couldn't play it live, so we had to think even smaller. So we had to think of a very personal way of bringing the music.
Gotta pay fines, gotta pay bills, gotta stay in line, gotta take pills, gotta chase time, gotta chase thrills.
We also looked at performance-wise. Here in the Netherlands we have a theater act called the Ashton Brothers, and they are amazing with all the physical, almost magic-like things they do on stage, which was definitely an inspiration to think about visual trickery. And for example, we had the idea to have a stand-in for me, and at a certain point I put on a mask. I go off stage, the stand-in goes on stage, so people don't really get the switch, while I can go off stage through the audience, do something. And the stand-in can, for example, dive in a bath of yogurt and gets all messy, and then you can play a trick like pop, and then he's clean again. So there are all these kind of visual tricks that you can play from the theater world that are super effective in fooling your audience. So the Revelland Foundation, who invited us for this project, actually developed in the past a machine that works on DMX, which is the coding for light, which means that you can activate it whenever you want, which sprays a very light amount of water into the audience, which is also something you can play with when you have a song about water or blood, or like you can give any meaning to that water. It can also be a cooling down effect right after a mosh pit. Like these are all parameters to play with. So for us, meaning was really important. I am a lyricist first and then a producer, so it's all about, for me, what does a song have to say. So we are creating lyric videos that we can project right behind us. Now, those lyric videos on their own are a specific thing because you want to make it very readable. But you also have to think about light. When there's very clear light, nobody can read a projection behind you. And when there is a heavy drop in your song where there are no lyrics, it's boring if nothing happens on the projection. But you also don't want to take away too much attention to people constantly reading lyrics or watching a whole music video while you're there performing, because it's all about the performance. So there are really thin lines and parameters that you have to keep in account with a lyric video, but it definitely helps with getting across what you're about. One other element that you can play with is implementing extras or actors, which I would definitely recommend you to ask your friends or fans to play a role, which can be really physical in the room. They can walk into the venue in the crowd at a song and behave in a certain way that creates a weird vibe or a really loving vibe, or a fire starter kind of vibe. Like they start the dance, they invite other people to dance, but also in a more static way. If you have a song about soldiers or the police state coming upon you, you can have people dress up as soldiers and walk through the room just to get that vibe going. It doesn't have to be in the room, they can be on stage as well. Personally, we chose for a way to have those demons literally on stage. So we invited a mask creator, designer, to create monster masks that we can put on the dancers, performers, which also play a role in the meditation storytelling element that we have, but also come on stage. It can light a spark in how you can think about your music, how you can think about it as a whole experience instead of just playing a song. I wanna be part of your scene. So I want you as an artist to let that creativity go and dream really big, to implement really small, smart ideas to make your show so much more immersive and amazing than it already is. And your ideas are already there, so go from your creativity and thoughts and make it all more awesome.